Hello everybody, welcome to the Trader Merlin Show. Obviously, my name is Merlin. Welcome, happy to have you all with us here today. Hopefully I'll have no glitches, no bugs, no problems on today's show. As you guys probably saw at the very beginning, it is an open Q&A show, which means I will be going into as many listener questions as I can, if I can answer them all. Many times you guys will send some stuff that might be a little bit above my head, but anything in my pay grade that I can get to, I will answer today. So feel free to send those on in the chat panel. I'd like to say a quick shout out to hello Kev, Brendan, Siraj, Jorge, Big Ab, Natalia. Good to have you guys with us. And of course, there's many others that lurk in the shadows. Feel free to type in, join the conversation. Usually we have a pretty happy, friendly group here. And if anybody gets crazy down the line, I just boot them. That's what happens. All right, a little bit of housekeeping. I was told I looked unprofessional the other day. I need to really make a more of an impression, look better. I thought me just as my normal fish t-shirt would probably would suffice. So here we are, nice collared shirt. Unfortunately, I'm not going to shave until this whole coronavirus thing subsides and I can leave my house. So I'm just going to get uglier and uglier as the days progress, but at least the markets will be as pretty as ever. Show for today, as I mentioned, will be me doing our top markets. I'll be going into listener questions, and again, you can send those in on our YouTube channel under Trader Merlin, or you can also go to tradermerlin.com. Feel free to send those on in. Many of the questions I've already going to answer on today's show were from that as well. So, why don't we start things off with our market update? Let's get the gist of what happened out there today. A great day for me. I actually had a really great trading session this morning. Last night wasn't the best, and I'll walk you through some of that as well. So let me start things off with your worst performer. Today was, for the most part, a risk-on type of environment, which generally means that things are going to move over into the equity side of things. And gold suffered because of that. So we will go check out the chart of gold here. Here is the GC futures. You can see on the 5-minute that it's have a nice little curl moving up right now, but it's the daily that we want to start with. So we'll go back to the daily chart. And you can see that today's little red candle coming off of that real big rally back up into 1700 here. A pretty significant pullback, I would say. You know, you're looking to the tune of about 1.31%. So hopefully you were on the right side of that one. Yes, I am too busy to shave. I just don't grow facial hair, Brendan. So this is something, it's a new one for me as well. So what's interesting about this gold chart, for those of you that are supply and demand practitioners, and you know, when I hear all this chatter about supply and demand doesn't work, you guys are idiots. Everything in life operates off of supply demand, not by itself. We want to use it with other things, but that's the most fundamental driver of price is buyers and sellers. And look at this chart here. I mean, it's kind of nice. I really wish I would have paid more attention to it on yesterday's session. When we look at this gold chart here, that 1700 mark not only is a huge whole psychological number, but we can see it also topped out there just a couple of weeks ago. We ran into it yesterday, and now we sold off from it today. So that's one of those things where just the basic understanding of supply and demand can be very, very beneficial. And gold today selling off to the tune of about $21 per ounce, making it the worst performer on the day. Now, right now, it is up a couple of bucks in the after-hour session, but still down about 1.31% on the day. All right, going to cryptos, where did I have a Coinbase error? An error has occurred. Well, Bitcoin was trading at 6,644. Let me refresh that and see if I can get there. Nice that Coinbase would be down right as we do the show. Convenient. There it is. So it's moving up right now. Moving down. 6,585. It was down about 1% just about 15 minutes ago. Now it dropped a little bit. So this would actually be your worst performer on the day. So we'll shuffle the deck here. Gold is number 6, Bitcoin number 5, but it was down 2.31% as we speak. All right, moving back from there to our Click platform. I'll go show you the NASDAQ 100. NASDAQ falling 93 points on the NASDAQ 100 today. A pretty I'm not going to say it's an aggressive move to the south side, but considering what the other indexes did, NASDAQ was ugly. It finished the day down 0.45 on the composite, which put it at 73.83. But keeping an eye on this picture here. It's very different when we look at the S&P and the NASDAQ. I'm not going to look at the Dow today, but S&P and NASDAQ were very different than this picture. All right, that was your number 5. We'll move to crude oil. I am still holding my crude oil for those that want to know. I will show you positions here. We've had questions from people saying that some of the trades I take are not. I'm not really a trader. Blah blah blah. Okay, fine. I'll show you trades today. Here's your crude oil. Not much to say. It's slowly inching its way up. It's not that great of a move. At the end of the day, when you look at the percentage, it was only up 0.23%. So 0.96%, 23 cents up per barrel. Still trading at 24. I'm trying to get as much information on this crude oil as possible from my industry experts, and a lot of them saying that the bottom is 15. I would be shocked to see if we got to 15, but I'll tell you, if it gets below 20 or at 20, I will probably be buying some CL futures contracts to hold for the next couple of weeks to months, because I just don't see it going any lower than 20 going forward. That's number, I don't even know what number we're on anymore. I'm going to say number 4 and leapfrog us up to the S&P 500, which takes a podium spot. Here is the ES on the day. I am, I took a hit last night. I had a stop loss in place. Yeah, I know AVP. People say all kinds of stuff just to get under my skin sometimes, and that one bugs me. Anyway, yes, I am a trader, guys. I trade real money just every single day. Yeah, so last night we had this crazy rally. I'll show you on the 5-minute here. I don't have the order execution because I'm not trading with click. This is just for analysis. But I'll show you what happened to me last night. You had a pretty aggressive run-up in the wee hours of the morning. Not wee hours, but I went to bed right around midnight. It was, I want to say 2470. No, how to be? It's somewhere right as we broke above here. So yeah, what's 2470? As soon as we got above these levels, I just bailed. I took a pretty significant loss. I had 3 futures contracts short on the ES, so it was a nice 4-digit loss for sure. But this morning there was some nice opportunity on the ES, and especially this move here that the last 15 minutes of the market was just phenomenal. And I'll show you that I'm still short the ES on 3 contracts right now that I rode from that sell-off here. So, yeah, erasing a lot of those losses I took, that's for sure. S&P on the day, as mentioned, number 3, taking that seat up 1.15%, finishing at 2,475, but it's drifting down now in the after-hour session. It's at 2463, and of course, I am happy about that because I am still presently short. All right, number 2 on our list brings us to the Russell 2000, the RTY. I am totally out of my Russell shorts, or no positions open on the Russell whatsoever. More of a spinning top indecision day, even though it was up. You had a gain on the day for the Russell 2000 of 1.26%, finishing at 1,110, although right now it is definitely dropping. We are down about, I want to say about 10 points from that level, about 15 points right now from where it closed out. Okay, moving on to your number 1. Treasury yields are going to be the number 1. We'll skip over the Dow, which is up 495. Who cares? The TN is what I wanted to take, or sorry, ZN is what I want to take a peek at. You can see not much happening there with the candles, just a little bit of a drop with the green candle. That brought the yields up 5.15%, however, at 0.858 is where we finished, and that is your top 7 for your market update for today. All right, well, hopefully some of that put some green into your pocket. I know it put a little bit into mine. I'll walk you through some of those today just to show you, not show you, but you know what, the people keep asking me almost every single day, what are you in? Show us real trade, show us all that stuff. So I'm going to just share this screen with you guys. This is currently open. All right. Yeah. Not only a feed lag, guys, that was actually my computer. I'm hoping that it pops back up. Real quick, I'll just type in a chat. All right. So we're back up. So hopefully hopefully that won't happen again. That was kind of odd. Anyway, hopefully we're streaming now. You guys can see. Got to get that fiber. Tim, you're absolutely right. We've covered the UAL there at the bottom. I told you a few weeks back. Oh, get me out of here. I told you a few weeks back that I was in that United Airlines. Let me just get out of this stuff here real quick. I basically sold puts at 25, and that was when we were at 35 on it. So as long as United Airlines stays above $25, I will collect that $7,750 worth of premium on April 17th. So that's misleading, that bottom one, or the UAL. And I'm currently long 2 crude oils. These top 2, I told you guys about that. I just took flyers. These are deep out of the money call options on USO and XOP. I'll probably dump those in the next week or so because I just don't see them making any money. Anyway, wanted to share that one with you guys because I keep it just drives me nuts and irritates me when everyone's like, you're not a trader, you don't trade. Those are actual real trades that I have on right now. Okay. There we go. Cool. So we are up. Yay, good. Done. Let's go to listener questions since I've had a plethora of them over the past couple weeks. And again, if you guys want to send in questions, the easiest thing that you guys can do is simply go to tradermerlin.com, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Send in questions there. I'm happy to answer them. I'll usually try to answer them on the show. Sometimes I message directly, but normally it's going to be as I do the show live. So let's go and take a peek at some listener questions. We will go right away to one from Sam. Sam says, if the U.S. markets start to ban short selling like some Asian markets, what's going to happen to my long puts? Good question. And I unfortunately, I didn't have the time to bring up the charts to look at it. But if you look back in, I want to say 2008. I want to say it was September when they said no more short selling on U.S. equities. In your mind, what should happen there? If people can't short equities, instinctively we think that markets will no longer go down, that they're going to move up because that selling pressure in the marketplace, which should push things down, is no longer there. You've removed one aspect of selling. The irony is the opposite happens because, and this is the only thing I can think about, maybe you guys have some other input, my personal feeling is that what ends up happening is the fear factor in the market is overwhelming and people are looking at it going, you know what, this is not going to go up anymore. It's just going to go down. They're putting these emergency measures in place so that the market doesn't fall. I'm just going to get out. And you see natural selling of long positions as people go to cash. That's what happened in 2008. I think it was a month long or a month and a half long in 2008 where they banned short selling. And it continued to fall. Almost the entire time that short selling ban was in place. So Sam, your question, if the market starts to if they ban short selling, what's going to happen to my long put, meaning you own a put? You're probably going to gain in value. Now that's an assumption based off of the only other time I've seen them do that in my trading career. So who knows what would happen? The goal of it is obviously to stop the markets from falling. But what I saw in 2008 did not do that. Maybe next time I'll bring up some more graphics and research on it, but I just didn't have a chance to dig into all those numbers for today. All right, that was question number one. Question number two brings us to, who do we got? I had them all set up here. Todd J. He says, I received the info below from TradeStation, but I'm not sure what it means. If you get a chance, can you explain what this is? All right. The question was, this is March 18th. It says, due to current market conditions, TradeStation will only permit closing transactions on options for all volatility-related ETFs and ETNs. TradeStation will continue to monitor and adjust when market conditions warrant. This is a regularity you have to get used to in a market with things that are volatile. Right now, TradeStation also raised their margin requirement for crude oil to 150%. What these exchanges and brokers will do, and TradeStation being obviously a brokerage firm, but sometimes the CME will do this as well, is they will raise the margin requirements or prevent you from even making trades in these instruments because they're worried about the risk to you. They're kind of being a risk manager, and rightfully so. So I guess the question from this one, Todd, is what are those volatility-related ETFs? Now, we talk about the VIX on this program many, many times, but there are so many derivatives of the VIX. Some are doubles, there's triples. To me, it's insane how crazy some of these are. So I thought I'd bring up a page for you, and if you guys take a peek at this one, I'll walk you through some of them. Real quick, let me just make it clear. I am not in any way, shape, or form recommending that you trade these at all. Quite the contrary. I would say stay the hell away from them. They can be very, very dangerous for your account. For example, take a peek at that top one, the TVIX. This is just a double VIX short. It's up 700% in 3 months. Now, I probably shouldn't even brought this up because I'm sure some of you are going, well, hell, I'm going to go trade that thing tomorrow morning. Look how volatile it is. It's crazy. Let's look at TVIX on the trading platform here real quick. Let me see if I can just drag that over here. And I'll bring up TVIX. Here's your TVIX. Okay, if you go back to February 19th, when we had our show where we talked about how to capitalize on a black swan event, you could have bought deep out of the money calls on this one, right? It was only trading at like 39. It was trading at 38, actually. And then all of a sudden, if you go from the 19th of February to the peak here, which was on the 18th, so literally 1 month later, it peaked out at a high of 1,000. Crazy. And all TradeStation is trying to do is become risk managers. They're trying to mitigate that risk. And I think it's a good thing. I think that they should be doing that. It's something that is beneficial for traders out there that take too much risk or don't understand the markets. And unfortunately, That is a very, very common place right now. People not paying attention to the risk that they're getting into and getting destroyed. So this is why you're seeing them put these regulations or restrictions. What that means to you, if you're ever out there trading and you're trading something that's so darn volatile that it's moving up 5-10% a day, like crude oil has been, or maybe even airline stocks over the past couple of weeks, you can expect either your brokerage firm or an exchange saying, you know what, this is too risky for you. We are going to just ratchet down a little bit, maybe increase the margin requirements, or even forbid you from trading it at all. In the case of the question here for Todd, basically what they're saying is, we don't want you trading this instrument, so they're not going to let you do it. Simple as that. Very, very clean and easy what TradeStation is doing, and I personally think it's probably a wise move. I do know a lot of traders who trade these leveraged volatility instruments, but they're very experienced traders, have been doing this their whole life. When newbies start off trading something like TVIX, you could lose everything and then some. All right. What's our next question? Let's go to, that was Todd Jason. Again, if you guys have some, feel free to send those in. I am trying my best to read through some of your questions that are coming through in the chat right now. Hello, Nat. Good to have you back with us. AVP, that's a good analogy. Like when the bartender cuts your friend off. Or you, for that matter, right? Yeah, they're just being a risk manager to themselves. Absolutely right. It's pretty much the same thing. All right, next question. Came in from Alpha Intelligence. Now, I'm sorry I got to this one a little bit late, but I wanted to go through a few of these. Alpha's been very active on the YouTube channels and sending in all kinds of comments at the bottom, so I appreciate that, Alpha. I know sometimes you don't get a chance to watch the show live, but we really do appreciate your support and comments. He said, could you look at Roku, Square, and Uber? All right, we'll look at those real quick, but real interesting for me is if we look at the market environment that we are in right now, we talked about what sectors might perform really well. Anything that will allow you to stay at home or even make digital transactions. Now, of course, Square is kind of a point-to-point, peer-to-peer type of, not point-to-point, but a sale point. So you go to the stores, you go to a restaurant, sometimes they'll have a Square machine, and that's a transaction processing system. They may do okay in this. Roku is a stay-at-home streaming media channel. I think that could be very good for them. We talked about Hulu, Netflix, and Roku in the past, saying those are probably going to see a big surge in subscriptions because we're forced to stay at home for an indefinite amount of time. The other one, the third one on this list, Uber. I think Uber is going to struggle greatly right now. Who's going anywhere? And if I do go anywhere, I'm going to go drive my car there because the roads are empty here in Southern California. So I guess before we look at these, I guess you have to say, what is the goal here for these investments? Is it to make a shorter term trade, regardless of what the company is? Fine. If it's an investment, careful, because some of these might not perform very well going forward. All right, so let's go to Click and check this one out. I'm not gonna have TJ do anything. I'm just gonna have me do it. Here is your Click platform. Let's start off by looking at Roku. Okay. That is the one I like the best on here, and unfortunately, Alpha, I don't know what time frame you want to look at these on, but he said basically all of these are coming into demand. Okay. Now Roku, I'm hoping my internet didn't drop again. Please tell me it didn't. No, I'm still got it. For some reason, it's taking forever to load that one up, so maybe I'll go to another platform. Let's try it on this one. I'm not liking this. I have a feeling my internet just dropped again. Okay. Now, he actually did send me this one on, I think it was the 18th, all right? So you look at Roku, and obviously Roku's had a phenomenal run. I mean, the last few days for Roku have been really, really good. But was it really coming into an area of demand? So I can simply go and put a horizontal line on these guys. We'll slap it down here just to give us a reference point, and then I'll scroll back and see, did Roku, in fact, come into an area of interest? And out of all of them, this one actually looked like it came in a great area. I actually really like that level at 64.43. This is one that I'm glad you brought it up, Alpha. I just wish I was paying attention sooner because I would have bought some out of the money calls on this one. It's gone from $150 down to $60 in a period of a month and a half, and I like what Roku does, that streaming medium stuff. So I think that would have done very well. Yeah, TJ and others in here talking about Zoom. Zoom is blowing up right now. I have people inviting me to do virtual happy hours. I don't know whether that makes me a lush or a virtual happy hour. I'm just going to stay home and drink. I mean, that's all I can do anyway, right? So Roku, I actually really like this one. Liked being the key word because it's already moved up a ton. But I want to look at the other two, because the other two kind of, I squinted a little bit going, I don't really see the need to buy Square. So here's Square, and this is the entire history of Square. Oh, there you go. You got a little bit further back. I think it goes further than that. You're asking, and I think it's because of this level right around 35, and I would be okay with that $35 level. That one was good. Long term, I think Square is going to do very well. I think you're going to start to see Square do more and more, especially as these cryptocurrencies start to become more mainstream. I think that's going to be a very logical evolution for Square, as they've already got some cryptocurrency stuff on the back end. So Square, I'm bullish on. I did like that $35 mark. Now let's go look at Uber. Uber. I'm not a fan right now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Uber, but look at the chart here. I think the reason that Alpha, and I wish you were on right now to correct me, is you're liking Uber because it went from 42 all the way down to, let's say, $15. Wow. Right? Could that be a value play? And this is the question we would love to have somebody like Larry Jacobson on the program to analyze a little bit more. Is this a company that has the financial numbers, the fundamentals to support saying, I would like to go long at something like 15? Clearly, I think we'd all agree that Uber's not going anywhere. I mean, Uber is my best friend on a Friday and Saturday night, just because I know I have that safety of I'm not going to get pulled over or anything like that. And this could be that buy point for Uber. So yes, from a supply and demand perspective, no, there's nothing on Uber that says I should have bought it at 15. From a value play, from something moving forward, I do like it as a play because, again, I think Uber has a couple different things here. Number one, Uber is obviously our vehicle of choice when we don't want to drive for whatever that reason may be. There's also the automated car coming. I think it's going to start to become more of a popular discussion. And if you already have that infrastructure kind of set up, and you already have the system, the software set up for ride sharing, as soon as automated cars are there, I think Uber could flip that switch, and all of a sudden they are like the global taxi here, where they just buy automated vehicles, park them at different people's houses for a small fee, and then that car is just constantly driving around, refilling itself with gas or electricity or whatever it may be. But that's definitely down the road, way down the road. So I would have liked all three of these at those value points. As two of them were in demand, that was Roku and Square, and you had Uber just as a long-term value play. I think you're probably doing good. Yes, Natalia, I will bring Larry back. My next step, now that I got the studio here and kind of stable, I said stable-ish because my internet dropped for some reason today. I need to figure out how to get guests in. I'm not using the multi-million-dollar studio that we had. It had all the technology and bells and whistles, and I'm doing this just from my home in my home office right now. My dog may walk in at any point, which at some point you guys get to see my pup. All right, let's go back to our questions. We had Alpha Intelligence's 4 there. Let's go to UC's question. UC says, if I bought a call, is there any situation when I will be assigned the shares? Now I would be long 100 shares. The answer is no. There is zero situation because as a buyer of an option, you have the right but not the obligation to exercise. It's up to you at a certain point. You could exercise that option. If you did exercise that option, then you would basically be saying, I will take those shares. But most people don't. They let the option expire and profit the difference if it's in the money. If it's out of the money, probably going to expire worthless. So there's no situation whatsoever where you would be forced to buy those 100 shares. Same thing with a put. You can see that the second part of the question from UC was, if I bought a put, is there any situation when I will be assigned the shares and I be short 100? Absolutely not. You would never be forced as a buyer to take those shares or have those shares taken from you. If you were the seller, yes, they could be taken away from you or you could be assigned. So, Brendan says, I think Uber and Lyft are more likely to get bought out or merge. You know what? I don't know if antitrust would step in there. I think at a certain point you got to have some competition, but I'm all excited for the automated vehicles. So you see, no worries. If you're a buyer, you have no worry about it unless you choose to exercise that option and take possession of those shares that you have the option for. All right, next, Aiden. I want to do some long-term investment in stock, and I am a futures trader and never done this. What's the process? It's very simple. I mean, if you think about it, it couldn't be more easy. You're basically doing the same analysis that you would have done on your futures account, maybe with a little bit longer term perspective. So instead of using intraday charts, a 5, a 15 hourly, You might be using daily, weekly, monthly time frames for your investment decisions in that portfolio. He says, can I change my equity account and TradeStation to buy there? I don't know if you necessarily have to change. You can certainly go and open an equities account. Futures accounts and an equity account are different accounts. Within your equity account, you can trade options in there. So that's one account will trade stocks and options. The other one being separate for futures. So you'd have to open a separate account. So yes, you could buy there once you have it set up. Second part, he's got a bunch of questions on this one. Is it possible to keep it for 2 to 3 years in TradeStation? Absolutely. You can keep those shares for as long as you want unless they're thinly traded and the brokerage firm calls them away from you, but that is a very, very rare situation. Normally from an investment perspective, you're going to be buying things that are very liquid, usually going to be in exchange traded funds, something that's diversified. But yeah, you can keep them for as long as you want. Now you go on here and ask, well, what if I switch accounts? What happens if I close my TradeStation in the future? If you close your trading account, your shares are there. You'd simply have to wire them. It's called an ACAT form. So let me walk you through something I learned the hard way. This is a very important piece for all of you to understand if you ever decide to switch or move accounts. So let's say that Aiden has a TradeStation account, and he's all right. I'm long. I've got all these shares, but I don't like TradeStation or whatever the brokerage firm is, and I want to move it. Okay. What you'd have to do is you have to open an ACAT form. And then you'd set an ACAT form is simply a document you fill out and says, I want to transfer these assets to another financial institution. That process is something that you should all avoid like the plague. Ironic times, we've got coronavirus. I'm talking about the plague on the show. You should avoid an ACAT form like nobody's business. Why? Because they take forever. And so let's say you have 1,000 shares of Microsoft sitting in your TradeStation account, Aiden, and you want to move it. Okay, you fill out your ACAT form, that 1,000 shares now goes into the cyberspace as it's transferring from brokerage firm A to brokerage firm B, and that can take a couple of weeks. Meaning during that time that you're transferring it, those share prices could have lost 20, 30, 50% in value, and there's nothing that you can do. So my recommendation is if you have shares, stocks, whatever, at one brokerage firm, and you want to close that brokerage firm and move to another, then just sell everything there, go to cash, move the cash over, which will be a day, and then rebuy those shares if you really want them. So that's what would happen. You don't lose the shares by any stretch of the imagination. And then the last part of his question was, what happens to my stock when I want to sell it? That's a pretty easy one. Bottom line is, if you sell it, you're going to go back to cash. So if you own stocks in an equity account, a stock account, as soon as you sell it, it goes to cash. Done. Simple. That's all I can say on that one. All right, last one that I've got here goes over to Natalia, who is here with us today. So hello, Natalia. You're lucky I got to answer your question on show. Okay. Michael, I'll get to your question right as I finish this one. He says, I bought 1,000 shares of ExxonMobil as a value buy. What's your thoughts? Okay. Natalia says, how do we distinguish a pullback from a recovery rally? In general, as a new trader, how can I tell? But also, as a hopeful future retiree, how will I know when to get back into the market after pulling my IRA to cash? Well, isn't that the $50 trillion question? It's the question that everybody wants to know. Where is the market going to bottom? The sad reality is, despite what these industry experts will say and what somebody's trying to hawk some software or get you to subscribe to their services, nobody knows. It's all taking an educated guess. And I think that's the important part, is you want to make sure that you have an understanding of market timing. Supply and demand, I think, are critical in this. But it also has to come down to your personal preferences, Natalia, and anybody else who might be going through this, which is, what's my goal? What am I looking to accomplish by buying X, Y, or Z stocks? If I'm looking for the long term, obviously I'm going to go and take a much higher time frame perspective of things. I might go look out at the weeklies. But it's saying, where would you be comfortable buying it? I had this conversation with my dad the other day. He was basically asking me about different things, and I got him into cash in his 401k. And he's been sitting in cash, and he keeps going, well, when do I buy back in? When do I buy back in? I said, well, where do you want to buy back in? He says, well, this market could go up from here. I said, okay, a couple different things we could do. Number one would be the simple thing, which is basically go look at a price chart. Here we have, this is Uber. Let's go to the S&P 500. Here's your SPX. You look at this guy here, and you say, okay, well, where do I want to buy in? I certainly don't know, because I can't see any prices on the chart, or any demand zones on the chart. But maybe I'll go back to a weekly. Okay, Big M, as you notice, we did rifle through those 2018 lows. Well, where's the next stopping point that I think might be somewhere where I would be comfortable with it? Well, maybe that's down here at the 2100 mark, okay? So you could buy if it drops back down to 2100. The challenge here is it might not get down to 2300, right? This may be the bottom. Who knows, right? 2475, that's it. We're taking off. So it has to be a point where you're comfortable. What I would recommend to everybody out there that's trying to time those bottoms, and this is the same advice I gave my dad, as I said, look, if you want to own, I told him 2000 would be the point where I'd be happy owning the S&P. Right? So let's put the horizontal line on here. We'll drop it down to 2000. It'll be close enough for government work. Right? 2000 is a big, big mark in the sand. So I told my dad, I said, well, why don't you use options? And by using options, you can commit yourself to buying down here. And if it drops down there, you're a buyer. So basically, right now you're looking at the SPY ETF is at 2470 or 247. Would you be a buyer of SPY at 200? If you are, you can get paid right now to commit yourself to buy. And that's one other way we can use these market instruments like options to commit myself to buy at a point that I'd feel comfortable, right? Buying, I think, the SPY at 200, not a bad point. I think we're probably going to go lower than that personally. But still, from a long-term investor's perspective, you can go back to February 18th when we were trading at 3,300, well, SPY at 330, and now you're going to be buying it at 200. That's a $130 discount. That's a value buy, right? So we'll never know exactly when that market bottoms until it does. So only thing we can do is find demand zones, find areas that we look at on that price chart and say, you know what, am I happy being a buyer here? Demand zones, set your entry, your stop loss, and your price target. And if it gets there and takes you out, okay, take that small loss and now look for the level that's going to be even lower than that. And at some point, you'll hit the bottom and this market will rally and you can say, I timed the bottom. But there's going to be a lot of swings and misses along the way, especially when something's moving as fast as this. Okay, so perfect, Natalia. She says, I sold puts and didn't get assigned. Well, if you don't get assigned, is that the worst thing that can happen? Because you got premium. You got paid for that commitment. So, cool. I mean, obviously you want to own it, sounds like. But either way, you're going to make some money in that process. So, there we go. Let's see. What did Brendan say was so funny? The level of catastrophe that would make me want to buy in would be so grim, I'm not sure what ever happened, so I'd rather miss it. Oh, I love your skepticism, Brendan. You're right in the wheelhouse with me. We're peas in the same pod in that category. All right, let's see. There was a gentleman. I'm on a separate computer over here, so bear with me as I scroll up and try to find these ones. ExxonMobil 3375. All right, so let's go back to our chart here full, and I'll go XOM. Bring on ExxonMobil. I'll throw a line right around 3375, which should be down here. Wow. Bottom line is I would be very positive towards the ExxonMobil thing. Why? Because ExxonMobil is a solid company. It's not going to be going anywhere, and it's a value play. So it has a dividend that it pays. And I think that's something that you got to take into consideration when you're looking at ExxonMobil, is how much you're going to be getting paid for that one. XOM, I'm just going to bring that up here real quick and see what the premium is, or the yield is. If I remember correctly, I thought it was like 7%. I think. Let me go out there. Yeah, it's 8.6% dividend yield, so not too shabby. All right, this is the weekly. You're looking at 33.75 was Michael's buy point here on ExxonMobil. First off, I think you're getting a screaming deal, right? You're looking at the past month and a half, let's say 2 months, this thing's dropped 50% in value. That is already a screaming deal for a major corporation like ExxonMobil. From a technical perspective, though, you have come right into this area way down here near the bottom. Let me see if I can get the volume out of here. It's not that critical. Let's get rid of the volume. There we go. That low, and we hit it recently, I mean, you've basically went right into the very, very bottom of this low from 2002. To me, as a value play, I'm sorry. I'm not used to this platform, so we bring it up again. To me, as a value play, I think you're probably going to do well with this one, Michael. I think that I actually would be okay with this. I think that is a decent buy point to jump in. You know, you gotta still think about, if you're buying in at 33, how low can it go? It could continue to go lower. So you got to be careful with that. But if your focus is, I'm holding this for years, I think that's probably a pretty good buy point. I was looking at the same thing with United Airlines. I was looking at trying to buy some United stock. I should have been put the stock a couple days ago, but it jumped from $17 to $33. And I think long term that will be a nice hold out there. So there you go. There's your answer to that one. I think you're in a good spot. I like it. So hopefully you'll do well on that one. All right, we got any other last minute questions here coming through? I'm going to scroll up and see if I can find some stuff. Unfortunately, I don't have TJ here reading me questions because he's always reading me questions in the studio and waving at me and saying all kinds of stuff. All right, yo, are you here, buddy? Come here, Noah. So let's see if I can bring in my faithful colleague here. Yo, come here. Come on. Come here. You guys have asked about it. Come here, buddy. Come here. There he is. Come here. Right here. Right here. So this is my big beast. Oh, you can't even see him. This is my big 115-pound German Shepherd baby. He is. He'll be. I think maybe I should just make him the mascot of the show. But yeah, this is my big beast over here. All right, guys, that will do it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed today's session. If you have any questions, feel free to send those on in at tradermerlin.com. All the questions I answered today were from there. Hopefully I can get to more of those over the next couple weeks. I try to do them as much as I can on the show, but unfortunately, there's just so much going on. Yes, that's not a puppy. He's 7 years old, but he's definitely my best friend and one of the best dogs I've ever owned. Yay, I love my dog. All right, guys, so that will do it for me for today. Thank you so much. Again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, subscribe on iTunes as well. Share this with other people. Hopefully we can get a bigger group, bigger following. I always love doing this stuff. It's a ton of work, but it's rewarding, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So that will do it for me for today. Thank you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow.